say. Hey, good morning.
Whoa.
It is what day is this? Thursday already, January 18th. We are on the ground in Washington, D.C. We're covering the Public Policy Show, talking about some news, and we're in front of a Cybertruck.
In front of a Cybertruck.
Just throwing that in there.
Show.
That's a really interesting thing. They had to get special permission because Tesla offered to put the Cybertruck in here.
Right.
There's also 2 Model Ys to our left, right in front of the Polestar exhibit, because this is a show put on by the Washington Area New Car Dealer Association, and Tesla kind of isn't a dealer.
Not really a new car dealer. And so it is an interesting play that, like, and also when you come down the steps, and I think there's steps on the other side too, but when you come down one of the steps, it's like the first exhibit right out here. So
let the people see the Cybertruck.
Let the people see.
Walk over there and check it out. But yeah, I mean, we were it's the first time we've been together in front of one in person, and it's big.
Yeah.
And it's unique.
It is unique. The most unique thing actually isn't the body style. It's the wheels to me.
The wheels are way bigger than you think. Yeah. And so we are here today because it is Public Policy Day. The actual auto show opens tomorrow at noon. And so today there are going to be a bunch of lawmakers, OEM representatives, news outlets, media outlets.
Like media outlets that are covering this type of stuff at a very, very high level,
US News and
especially
World
the
Report.
regulation and stuff like that.
We fit right in. Wall Street Journal.
Got a flat bills and our pins.
But
no big deal.
This is the first time we've covered a policy event. And look, this is such an important part of our industry as a whole. It always trickles down to the front lines in some way, shape, or form. So they were kind enough to invite us to cover. So of course,
well, I think that our perspective is always, how do we look at this from how it's going to not just impact the dealer but the consumer, because the dealer's the closest to the consumer. And so I'm interested to just see, okay, what are we looking at today? What are we talking about, and how do we get people, potentially even just through our questions as we have these conversations, to really go all the way through the chain of, like, this actually gets to a person buying a car. Like, how are we thinking about that correctly? So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll get that to the ground.
Stay tuned to our social accounts. If you're not following us on LinkedIn, follow @Asodu. On LinkedIn, we'll be posting a lot of stuff there, and then we'll be live streaming probably a little bit more, and recording, of course, a bunch of interviews with lawmakers and folks that are here. Let's talk about a little news.
Let's get into it.
So kind of along the same lines, an automotive news article released today with Andy Guelcher, who happens to be the star of the show on episode 4 of More Than Cars, Mohawk Chevrolet. In Schenectady, New York. He's actually, we realized this when we read the article, he's the chairman of the dealer council.
He is
Chevy,
a full advocate of
He's
Chevy.
poster boy, and he just looks so good on the cover.
He does.
So basically, he's in an interview with Automotive News. Our friend Lindsay Van Huel, he discusses the resurgence in vehicle supply, the popularity of the Trax subcompact. Also answers a few questions on agency model or direct-to-consumer sales. So basically, Chevy is planning major redesigns and launches throughout the year, including the Traverse, the EV Equinox, a lot of people are waiting for, Tahoe, Suburban, new EV models. And he said there's a lot of dealer optimism heading into 2024. He says strong market positioning and the balance of EVs and combustion models coming. So it's not all EV. He said dealers are excited about the balance. He's quoted saying the cadence of products and the refreshes are coming, and they're going to come so fast in 2024. It's going to be mind blowing. And when asked about concern, I mean, he's an inspirational, motivational, like, I wake up, show up with my cleats on, ready to play the game every day.
But also just for him to say that and lead with, no, the innovation, the product timeline, the launches are going to be a big deal. That's exciting.
Especially for Chevy
to be a Chevy dealer and say, they're coming out with some heavy hitting stuff, he's saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And when asked about ongoing concerns about a potential shift to direct consumer sales, he said Marissa West, 24 hours into her new job as the president of North America for GM, reached out to him and a number of other dealers in a format of, like, get to know you calls, reiterating how important the dealers are to the partnership. He said, and I think that speaks volumes for Chevy and General Motors and what the next decade or so looks like.
I love that. Like, for her to come in and just go straight to the dealer and say, you are valued, you're important, this is an important part of our strategy, is a big deal. I think they would be good to do that and lean on the shoulders of great dealers like Andy and Mohawk to say, how do we do this best?
Yes.
What's the best path forward? Because that type of collaboration, I think, will actually provide the best consumer experience, because the OEM wants certain things and the dealer wants certain things, but they both care about a great consumer experience.
Very much so. And Steve Greenfield's his prediction of we're not going to be talking about agency model in 24 is just one step closer to being true.
Right.
It's only January.
Speaking of being January.
Oh,
segue.
Everywhere. Very nice. Well done.
Nice. So in the chilling grip of extreme cold, EVs are sparking a little bit of a debate. They seem to be more resilient than gas cars in some research, yet not without their icy challenges as Tesla graveyards are popping up in Chicago.
Seen that story.
So a recent story in electric and looking at Viking, a roadside assistance company that looked at a lot of cars in Norway, where 1 in 4 vehicles right now are already electric. So Norway, extreme colds, a lot. 1 in 4 cars are already electric. Data showed that the EVs were failing at a lower rate than gas cars in cold weather.
Tell Chicago.
And because only 13% of their 34,000 calls in early 2024 were actually EVs. So with 25% being EVs, 13% were calls for issues with EVs. But take that in relationship to Chicago.
Some pictures of some EV Tesla graveyards
where basically all these superchargers are lined up with Teslas that can't actually even get started charging.
They're plugged in, but the charging won't start. Let's explain this.
Yeah.
Right. So when you plug in the Tesla, that doesn't mean you've plugged in your phone before.
Right.
And it says cannot charge, unable to charge.
Yep.
Well, the reason the Teslas can't charge, because when you want to take a supercharge, the battery actually has to be preconditioned to a certain temperature to even be able to receive the charge. So people aren't used to this, right?
Yep.
There's a procedure you can go through.
They're used to just going and plugging in, right?
And why doesn't that does make sense? Our little cameras outside my house, I've tried to plug those in outside, and it says warm it up.
Yep.
And so that's happening, and you're literally seeing piles, 50 Teslas just stranded, unable to charge. And so, I mean, a lot of this is just operator, I don't know, lack of experience.
Operator error. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And so in Norway, they figured it out.
They figured it out because they have to deal with it all the time.
But it's one of those things, ongoing concerns about if I buy an EV, if I buy one of these Cybertrucks or Model Ys or the Polestars in the back, it's another thing that you could end up stranded when you were on your way to go somewhere, on your way to do something.
That you're not thinking about that little extra that has to happen.
So in states like the Northeast or these days, like Nashville, nowhere is safe.
Or Texas.
Yeah. Nowhere is safe, but it's just one other step, I think, that we'll overcome in the EV transition.
But this is, here's the point down to the
happens.
dealer. It's like, hey, especially if you're in cold weather climates and you are selling EVs, whether they're new or used, there's a point of education that it takes at the point of sale or the point of service to share with the consumer. Hey, remember, you're going to get into this situation. It's going to be freezing cold. You're going to have a low charge. Remember, you have enough charge to turn on the charging warm up so that you can charge the vehicle. And then you have great consumer experience.
I think of my kids, my teenage kids. They're not even going to think twice about this stuff.
No,
so it's going to be something that we move through.
Yep.
But it's fun to talk about, especially in the winter, especially in front of a Cybertruck.
There you go.
Because everyone's seen the video of that thing not making it up the hill in the snow.
Twice. Yes.
But being from Syracuse, there's not really a pickup that would make it up that hill with those tires.
Exactly.
It's not happening. But, it's fun to talk about. Well, that's all we have for you this morning. We're going to go set up our podcast setup, get ready for the public policy show to start. If we happen to see the Speaker of the House or somebody like that, we'll say hi to them on your behalf.